Y'all ever heard the scripture, pride comes before the fall? It's a good one, huh? Yeah. When it comes to the case of Candace, Candy Apple, Katari Owens, I believe that this is the quintessential scripture, line, phrasing, statement that marks what we're currently witnessing with her. Now, I've done deep dives into the narcissistic tendencies. I've done deep dives into, the, dare I say, sociopathic characteristics, control, coercion, cult leader mentality, all these sorts of things, right? The conspiratorial rabbit holes. But the one core part, and I believe this is underlying everything, is the pride of Candace Owens. Now, all of us at some point, and maybe even to this moment, have been or are proud about something. And when I speak of pride, I'm not necessarily referring to, I'm proud that, I did this and this, or I'm proud that, I got myself into a better job, or, taking pride in your work, as a verb, I guess you would say. I'm talking about hard-headedness, haughtiness, an inability to allow new information to come in. And the danger of pride, and the reason, I believe that the good book states that pride comes before the fall, is because in almost every story you have heard of somebody who has, ascended to the highest of heights and has fallen from grace, you see pride. You see an individual who is not willing to heed the call, who is not willing to take the warning, who is not willing to just simply listen to somebody else's perspective about a matter. The most dangerous thing you can do as somebody who, speaks to people for a living, who is a public figure of sorts, is to believe in your own hype, to drink your own damn Kool-Aid. As much as I do my best to educate myself, to be thorough, to do my best job at presenting the things that I present on a daily basis, to tell the truth, I still know that I can be wrong. I can be off. I can say things that are misguided, but at the very least, I'm going to do my very best to correct it and to make sure that I come correct the next time around. So I want to get into this video, and it's going to be the first out of two that we get into, with old Candy Apple, old Candace Katari, apple of our eye, and just a display of where this level of pride can get you. So let's get into it.
We are at the beginning of this, guys, so bear with me as I take you through this. Of course, there is a potential that we are making some errors. This is an open investigation. They tell us nothing, so we have to investigate this stuff ourselves. But we could be trying to make it fit, We could be trying to make it fit, and maybe it doesn't. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know anything right now. That's the point. That's why we go to you guys, because we get to just activate a bunch of investigators. But it's going to take all of us. So please, please, please email tips@CandaceOwens.com with whatever you can find. We're exploring, as I said at the top of the show, every available lead, because now we need to finally get to the truth of what happened to Jean-Michel Dragnel.
So, some of y'all probably thought to yourself, this actually seems to be the opposite of what Candace has been showing us this entire time. This seems to be a moment of humility. And if you were to look at it on face value, absolutely. For the first time, damn near ever, she has said these words: I may be wrong. Absolute cinema. Now, we're going to need a little bit of context as to why it is that, one of the more confident individuals on the internet is now seeming not so confident. Why is it that Candace, who was forcibly staking her claim that she is willing to lose her career off of this Brigitte Macron situation, is now saying things such as, I don't know, I may be wrong, I need your guys' help to figure this out. And the reason for that is simple. Legal-wise, it's because she has realized that this is a real lawsuit. Now, again, she was, playing the character for her audience. She was saving face, per se, by, I was going to say standing tall, but sitting tall and proclaiming the very first day she got that lawsuit. You, Brigitte, who's actually a dude pretending to be his sister who died, you are going to die as a man. That was her. She said that. How does that person, in the span of a couple of months, maybe 2 months at this point, maybe 2.5, how does that person all of a sudden turn into, I don't know, you guys, maybe, perhaps, we don't really know, but they don't share any of the truth with us, so we're just figuring it out. Yeah, that's called you've got a lawsuit on your head top, and it has forced you into a position where you are now compromised. You see, when you do your best to just tell the truth and you don't hang and cling on to things for the sake of, the applause of the crowd, right? For validation of man or whatever else it may be. If you're trying to be right with God at all times, you're going to be okay. People will understand when you're wrong, and you'll figure out along the way, damn, I was off about that one. Damn, I was close, but I was off. I was close, but I was off. Now, again, I never cared from the beginning whether or not Emmanuel Macron was married to a dude, right? The most suspicious thing about his relationship was that they met when he was a 14-year-old boy, and that was a 38-year-old individual. That part was sketch to me. And, French law that allowed that at that time and allows 15 or 16 to be with an adult consenting, that's still sketch to me. I don't get it. Maybe you out there in France could just explain that part to me, right? But outside of that, I never cared about the entire thing. I watched the first 5 episodes because it was entertainment at the time. It's far more entertaining things at this point in life. Far more entertaining. I like the absolute crash out that we see in front of us, of course. But, all jokes aside, I'm seeing an individual who is now trying to clamber back after allowing pride to lead to her downfall. She's already done too much damage. She's gone too far at this point. Some folks out there think I hate her, I'm targeting her, etc. I'm like, well, if that's how you feel, then so be it. Surprisingly, I have no hatred in my heart. Or as, Winston Churchill would say, I hate no man but one. And that man was the little mustache man. And he said, and even that hatred is simply business. That's a bar right there. I'm not hating you to hate you. I'm getting at you because you have become a very dangerous individual. You have been given a platform. You have been made responsible. And then on top of that, you claim to be Christian. And so you wear that as your sort of armor, per se, right? You wear it as a costume, and you're having influence on people, and you're spewing lies. And some people out there started, a lot of her cult, the cult of Candace Owens. Well, you can't say she's wrong, though. Yeah, she's wrong basically 80% of the time. Almost everything she has said historically has been wrong. I mean, as of recently, this is somebody who tried to justify the Spanish Inquisition. I mean, was it really that bad? Again, are you surprised with this sort of individual crashing out? I'm not. And so there are multitudes of voices who used to allow her voice to be one of the few in their lives, because out here, who the hell can you trust? Who can you actually listen to and know that this voice right here is not willfully deceiving me for their own intention? And sometimes you can be self-deluded and self-deceived. That doesn't mean that you're still not lying. You've just gotten to a point where you can justify to yourself for whatever given reason you have. And I've gotten criticism before to be like, well, you've changed your mind on this, this, and that. Yeah. I've never, ever, ever, ever spoken out against the changing of one's mind. As a matter of fact, that's what I would hope you lean towards, so long as if it is for the good, right? I've gotten criticism for aligning myself with certain things that seem controversial. Oh, well, you're just doing it because it's controversial. No, I'm doing it because it's correct. It just happens to be that the truth is oftentimes controversy. I know the Jewish people are our allies. I'm not saying every single Jew in the world, but majoritively, there's a lot of woke Jews, just like there's a lot of wokety woke folk on the left in America. Like there's a lot of unhinged Jews, just like there are a lot of, unhinged Christians or Buddhists, and I was about to say Islam, but the whole damn ideology is whacked out. But there are good people who consider themselves as Muslims. There's good people who consider themselves as Christians. Whatever label an individual has on them does not define the character of the individual. Hopefully they can live up to the thing that they're purporting to be, right? But you're somebody who has taken that and ran with it, and you have been so proud, and nobody could tell you anything, and you have spun narratives, and you've called out blood libel after blood libel, dangerous things. I don't say dangerous because you don't have a right to speak your mind. I'm saying dangerous because they affect real people's lives. When you are a pusher of the very same propaganda that the little mustache man was pushing, yes, she has, to all the cults of Candace Owens, yes, she has. Look up what the little mustache man used to say. There's either one or two sides you're going to be on. Let me address them real quick. You're either on the side of, I'm okay with that. I think the little mustache man was right, and that will define where you stand. At least you're, the hot and cold, not lukewarm. At least you're hot on that one, or at least you're fully cold. I can respect that part. Now, you're siding with evil. You're living a damn lie, but I can respect that you're at least open and honest about it. So if you stand with the little mustache man, then you're okay with everything that Candace says about the Jewish people. Facts. Facts. Well, why is he bringing it to this? Isn't this about Brigitte? It's about a person. It's about a personality. It's about the character of this person. Candace Owens is only as trustworthy as who she is. She is led by her pride. And only she has the ability to genuinely let it go. But as you see right there, even in her seeming most vulnerable moment, she's still going to do this right there. Because she can't say the words anymore, so she's just going to put that. She now knows that she has to use certain words, certain language in order for her not to get in deeper and deeper water. Because now she can't say I wasn't presented certain things because now it's public. Right. Again, I'm not a fan of the Macrons. I don't know much about them except for a little bit about Emmanuel and his politics. And I think he is a very weak leader. I think he has done more harm than good. I think he has aligned himself with jihad. And, that's going to end terribly for his people. So, I see her in that moment begging for help. And then I come across this clip simultaneously. Somebody said in my comments recently, you don't watch her, but you watch her. And that's facts. I can't tune into, an hour long worth of this stuff. But when my guy, Milk Bar TV, a.k.a. Nathan Livingston, who I actually did an interview with recently, shout out to that guy. He's doing incredible work. Andrew Tate is trying to silence him, but it's not going to work. So keep fighting the good fight. But anyway, I came across this.
But he randomly includes in this lawsuit, amongst the allegations and charges against me that have completely thrown him over the edge, the things I have done that have thrown the presidential couple over the edge. He mentions the fact that I bring up MK Ultra throughout the series. Actually, it wasn't throughout the series. Brigitte Trogneux was born April 13th, 1953. Ironically, the same date that the MK Ultra program came into existence. Speaking of MK Ultra, oh wait, we didn't speak about MK Ultra yet. But The first book we're going to be reading is Chaos, and some of those themes may be relevant as we go along with this series. Brigitte Macron was born. It's also the same day that the CIA's MK Ultra program was born. Owens turned her gaze towards President Macron to begin seeding her eventual claim that he is the product of MK Ultra or a similar government control program. You can see that's not in quotations. I never said that. Emmanuel Macron spent a ton of time isolated throughout his childhood. They would experiment psychologically through isolation, through drugs, LSD, drugging people to see if they could get them to commit crimes or to commit other acts unwittingly, essentially trying to establish a Manchurian candidate. Somebody that responds to cues, does what they want them to do without question, wondering if they could control, and using this, by the way, as a weapon of sorts. And then also recognize that the majority of the documents pertaining to that program were destroyed. So we don't know just how global that program went. Just off the bat, his father, Jean-Michel Macron, was a psychiatrist. And yes, of course, we know for a fact that psychiatrists have done some evil things. We talked about the upbringing of Kamala Harris, the upbringing of Barack Obama, these people being raised by their grandparents at a time when we know that the MK Ultra program was running, and there is something very...
As I listen to this, one thing is just blaring in my mind. And every now and then we will have one of the cult of Candace Owens show up. I mean, actually, a few of them do, but a few will choose to comment like 7 comments in a row or whatever. So let me address you for a second. Do y'all just like being lied to? Is that, like a pastime of yours? Just you enjoy being lied to, outright lied to. Because if you don't, then Candace would make you extremely upset. She would upset you. She would frustrate you, and you would have long since essentially gotten rid of her within your own psyche. You would see her for what she actually is. So the reason I say that is because that video right there is all the proof an individual would need to know that they're dealing with a liar. Some of you will still defend it. Well, no, but MK Ultra, but it is real. We didn't talk about whether or not MK Ultra is a real government program. No, that wasn't it. In the lawsuit, it stated that Candace brought up in her own 8-part series that Macron was essentially a part of, or the victim of, I guess you would say, of MK Ultra. That was in the lawsuit. Nobody asked her to make an entire video about, her never have said that. She could have just remained quiet, but instead she chooses to lie. Now, maybe she forgot. And to that, I say even worse off. Are you the type of person who tells so many lies that you forget the last lie that you told? That's the thing about being a liar, right? If you catch an individual who just lies, just these compulsive liars, they can't even keep track of which lie is which and, who they told what to and all that sort of stuff. So here we have you saying whatever you said that you filmed with your cameras in your little old basement, right? Just a mama in her basement. You filmed that. You put that onto the world. You made those statements time and time and time again. Episode after episode. What's this? We got episode 1, you talked about it. Episode 2, you talked about it. Episode 3, you talked about it. Episode 3 again. Episode 5, you talked about it. But yet, oh, excuse me, I didn't know you guys weren't seeing that. I said 1, right? Right there. Episode 1, boom. Episode 2, boom. Episode 3, boom. Episode 3, still. Episode 5. But yet you have the audacity to say this to your followers, the people who trust in your voice.
But he randomly includes in this lawsuit, amongst the allegations and charges against me that have completely thrown him over the edge, the things I have done that have thrown the presidential couple over the edge. He mentions the fact that I bring up MK Ultra throughout the series. Actually, it wasn't throughout the series. Brigitte Trogneux was born April 13th, 1953.
Like, why say that? Why? Why not just stick to, whatever the main points at hand? When you are prideful, there is no extent, no depth, no width, no height that you will not go in order to defend even the most ridiculous of lies. There's folks who can just be wrong about something so small, so simple, so subtle, and they will go to the grave with that damn thing. They just can't be wrong. There can't be any accountability. The sky is going to be green until the day they die. I promise you, there are folks who will cling tooth and nail. They are prideful, and therefore they fall. Now, again, in everyday life, it's maybe not these grandiose falls, but you might fall from your position at work. You might fall out of that relationship. You might fall out of good graces with your kids. It might be, your pride may end up to a fall in those small little incremental ways. But, well, actually, those are massive in our own personal lives. But when you see it happen in this public display, in such a massive spectacle, right? In the very beginning, there was these allegations. Shout out to Tiffany Henyard, allegations. There were these allegations that all of us were coming together, being paid $1,000 a piece in order to smear her. Meanwhile, we're doing it for the free ski because we're absolutely sick and tired of the lies. And if you just stuck to just simple conspiratorial lies and just kept it at that, it would have just been you and the Macrones. Nobody would have cared. But you started bringing your own resentments, your own hatred. And I think that might be a fuel for all of that, right? If you do not let go of that resentment that you hold, that hatred that you have, and some say it's because, she got fired by a Jew or two, that she feels some type of way. I don't know if that is, fully the story or not. Maybe. But what I do know is she has a deep, deep, deep hatred for this group of people that she continues to use as a target. For some others, I could say that, they don't really feel that way. They're just using that because it's easy. It's, it's monetizable in this day and age to hate the Jewish people. Again, and the reason I'm obsessing on the Jew thing is because they are. She is. That's who she brings up. That's who she chooses as a target. If it was anybody else, that's who we would point to, right? So it's been, Macron. It hasn't been the French people. No, it hasn't been French. It has been the Macrons, or more specifically, Brigitte Macron and the Jews, or the Frankists, the Zionists. Which, by the way, Christ is considered a Zionist, a believer in the state of Israel. He's supposed to be ruling from Jerusalem. So, that's just something we can tuck on the side for right now. But again, to those who have not yet had their awakening, do you enjoy being lied to? And you could say, who the hell is this guy right here? What does he know? He's jealous. He's salty. He's this. He's that. Right? I was okay. Believe whatever you want. Sure. But I would say for you and your sake, do you like being lied to? That's it. You don't have to believe me as anything else. Do you like being lied to? Because she's doing it to you. You can look to point out my inconsistencies, etc. And like I said, if I'm wrong on something, I'll go, yeah, you know what? We're going to double take on that one. I might still have my perspective, and maybe, just maybe, I've actually educated myself enough on a subject to go in depth on it. Sometimes I say something and I'm all the way off. But if I'm off, you'll know I'm off. Why? Because I'll let you know. I'm wrong. I was a vegan for 4 years. I was wrong. I was wrong. Oops. To everybody who I tried to convert into the religion of veganism, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was wrong. It was not the optimal way of eating for a human being. A carbohydrate sugar overload is not optimal. It's actually quite the opposite. Cutting out, animal-based products or animal foods It's probably one of the worst things that you can do as a human being at every level of life. I was wrong. I can be wrong about a lot of different things. But one thing I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt is I will do my best not to lie to you. Because it's so much easier to just tell the damn truth. This is what I feel. This is what I think is going on. This is what I know to be going on. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Am I? Oh yeah, I'm wrong. Okay, next. And people trust you. You don't lose your people for any other reason than they feel your spirit. You're from a hateful place. You're coming from a bad intending spirit. Or you're lying to them. You're deceiving them. People will forgive a lot of crazy stuff. I've seen it happen with these celebrities. People will forgive. But one thing folks can't really come back from is somebody that lies to them. So, the lies, the pride, and the disguise of Candace Owens. That's what we're going to call this one. Till the next time, peace. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there, or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there, or click on the Cash App. Leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace.
Quitters. Where? I've been up for hours, I've been up for days, you. Staring at the ceiling, I've been counting strays, you. I've been in my feelings, I've been out of mind. I've been getting visions of the other kind. Yeah, I've been up for weeks. I'm in the count of blessings over count of sheep. I can never be the type to limit when it comes to me. I used to be the pleaser for the people.